and we know that this plan was cultivated by Lord Rothschild beginning in 1763, and through the 18th and then the 19th century this plan was cultivated by Lionel Rothschild there in London, and we know that the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is the original Rothschild plan slightly altered. And the whole purpose of this plan of Zionism is to make the Jews the rulers of the world and everyone else submitted to them as slaves. And so let's have a look now at the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion and how they have been enacted in the Western world today. Max Nordau and Theodor Herzl are the two men who created the first Zionist Congress in 1897 in Basel, Switzerland. In Basel, the Rothschild plan was enacted where the Zionist Congress, or the secret government of Zionism, began to make Zionism an international movement. The first Zionist Congress was also the event which distributed the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion among these leaders of Zionism, which are at the core the plan that Rothschild laid down in 1863 in Frankfurt in Germany, and holds the belief that the Jews are the rightful rulers of the world, and as God's chosen race they are entitled to destroy or enslave everyone else in the world for the benefit of themselves. But this is not a godly plan at all. These people are Luciferians and worship the pagan dragon god called Lucifer or Satan in the Bible. These people, by their existence, actually prove the Bible is true and correct, and that there is evil in the world, and the Protocols are that evil plan, described how to deceive everyone while they run their satanic ruse or charade of deception. In the Protocols, it says in Protocol number 3, remember the French Revolution? The secrets of its preparation are well known to us, for it was entirely the work of our hands. In 1924, Chief Rabbi of Sweden, Dr. Ehrenpreis, said, long have I been well acquainted with the contents of the Protocols, indeed for many years before they were ever published in the Christian press. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion were in point of fact not the original Protocols at all, but a compressed extract of the same. Of the 70 Elders of Zion in the matter of origin and of the existence of the original Protocols, there are only 10 men in the entire world who know. The first author to make public the Protocols was Sergei Nilus in Russia, a Russian lawyer, writer and mystic, between 1901 and 1905. The author of the English translation of the Protocols is Victor Marsden, a correspondent for the Morning Post in London, living in Russia with his Russian wife. Both Sergei Nilus and Victor Marsden became targets of the Russian Revolution, but Marsden escaped back to England, and there he translated the Protocols into English. The words he translated made him physically ill. In Switzerland there was immediately a backlash, and the Protocols were pronounced by the court on the 14th of May 1935 to be a forgery and demoralizing literature. But on the 1st of November 1937 the Swiss Court of Criminal Appeal quashed this judgment in its entirety. And 11 months after the Basel Conference of 1903, Theodor Herzl, the leading light of Zionism, suddenly died of a heart attack, and he was replaced by Chaim Weizmann. And so, rather than going to all the details of the Protocols, I thought I'd just restrict myself to the quotes that were made by Max Nordau, Theodor Herzl, and Chaim Weizmann, which directly come from the Protocols. In August 1903, at the Zionist Congress at Basel, Max Nordau said, let me tell you the following words as if I were showing you the rungs of a ladder leading upward and upward. Herzl, the Zionist Congress, the English-Uganda Proposition, the future World War, the Peace Conference, where with the help of England a free and Jewish Palestine will be created. In August 1902, Dr. Herzl said in the British press, I will give you my definition of a nation, and you can add the adjective Jewish, an historical group of men of recognizable cohesion held together by a common enemy, namely the white man, of course. Dr. Herzl wrote, when we sink, we become a revolutionary proletariat, the subordinate officers of the Revolutionary Party. When we rise, there also rises our terrible power of the purse, meaning the bankers or the money changers. According to the Jewish Guardian on October the 8th, 1920, Chaim Weizmann said, "A beneficent protection which God has instituted in the life of the Jew is that he is dispersed all over the world." And so don't be surprised that Chaim Weizmann there is saying that because the Jews are scattered throughout the world, that they're God's chosen people, because this strange sort of logic is also used in the Protocols and Protocol 11, which says exactly the same thing. And we know that there's many races of people who are scattered throughout the world, and that doesn't make them God's chosen people. But we know that the history of the Protocols goes way back to the time of Jesus, who spoke out against the Pharisees about their hypocrisy and about their attitude towards money and making a good show of themselves. And we also know that in 1871 Albert Pike wrote a letter which described the Protocols, and this letter was written between members of the Palladian Rite, and there was Albert Pike there in Charlottesville in the USA writing this letter to Giuseppe Mazzini there in Italy, in Rome in particular. And we know that's where Mussolini rose up from in the 20th century. And also we know that he was writing to Lord Palmerston there in England, who was Queen Victoria's Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time of the Opium Wars in China. And we know that's where Winston Churchill rose up from. And also we know that he wrote to Otto von Bismarck, who also was a member of the Palladian Rite, and he is the person who created the First Reich in Germany, and of course this is where Adolf Hitler rose up from.